Attention passionate Chicago, Bears fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Chicago Bears' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Chicago Bears fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Chicago Bears fans. Let's get to the news now. If you've been following the Bears this season, you know it's been a roller coaster, right? There's been so much happening, so many ups and downs, and right now, we're at a pretty pivotal moment. The Bears, after a tough start, are in a bit of a limbo with their tight end situation. It's a storyline that's gaining a lot of traction, especially with the recent game against the Raiders and the intriguing developments surrounding Kmet and Colston Loveland. And trust me, what's happening now could have long-lasting implications for the team's future, especially heading into the trade deadline. So, let's unpack this carefully, piece by piece, and see what it all means for the Bears and their prospects moving forward. It all started when Colston Loveland was ruled out for Week 4 against the Raiders. That injury opened up a huge opportunity for Kmet, who's been in the middle of trade rumors all offseason. You remember, Kmet was once considered a potential trade chip, especially after the team drafted his replacement with the 10th overall pick in the draft. The sense was that the Bears might be looking to move on from Kmet, but with Loveland out, everyone expected Kmet to step up, to prove his worth, and to solidify his place in the Chicago offense. And honestly, he did get plenty of chances, 9 targets in total, but what did he do with them? Well, not much. He caught only 3 passes for 46 yards. That's right, just 3 receptions, and that was actually his best game of the season so far in terms of catches and yards. And let me tell you, those numbers don't tell the whole story. Kmet failed to catch any of his 4 contested targets, which is pretty disappointing for a player of his caliber. He also added a drop and 2 penalties, which just makes the whole situation even more frustrating for Bears fans. You see, this was supposed to be his moment to shine, especially with the team's tight end depth being tested. But instead, it highlighted some of the struggles he's been facing all season. It's a stark reminder that after 6 seasons in Chicago, Kmet still hasn't fully established himself as a reliable target, and that's a concern for a team that's trying to build a competitive offense. Now here's where it gets interesting. The bye week is finally here, and that pause could be crucial for the Bears' coaching staff, especially head coach Ben Johnson, to reassess the tight end position. The team's decision-making during this period could shape the rest of the season. On one side, you have Kmet, who has had limited success with his opportunities, and on the other, Loveland, who's been fighting to earn more playing time. Remember, Loveland was involved in at least part of Tuesday's practice, along with injured players like TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon. Considering that Loveland was already limited in practice last Friday before being ruled out with a hip injury, it's almost certain he'll be available for Week 6 when Chicago faces the Monday Night Football showdown. That's a huge deal, because it means the rookie tight end could be poised to take on a bigger role, especially given how little Kmet has been able to do when given chances. And I think it's important to highlight that before Loveland's injury, he was starting to show signs of promise. In Week 3 against the Cowboys, for example, Loveland had his most involved game of the season, catching a 31-yard pass in the first half on one of his 3 targets. That's significant because it shows he's capable of making plays when given opportunities, even if he's been behind Kmet in the pecking order so far. But with how ineffective Kmet has been, it's only a matter of time before Loveland's role expands. It's almost inevitable that he will eventually become the primary tight end for Chicago, especially if he continues to develop and impress when he gets the chance. This leads us to the biggest question of all: what do the Bears do with Kmet? Will they keep him as part of the roster, or is there a chance he might be moved before the NFL trade deadline on November 4? The trade speculation is heating up, and for good reason. Moving Kmet could open up a much larger role for Loveland, who's just starting to show what he can do. Plus, trading Kmet could help the Bears save some money on the salary cap and give the team more flexibility for future moves. It's a strategic decision that GM Ryan Poles and the front office will have to weigh carefully. On one hand, Kmet is still a talented player, But on the other, his recent struggles and the potential of Loveland make the trade option very tempting. Think about it. If the Bears do decide to move Kmet, it would send a clear message that they're committed to developing their young talent and building for the future. Loveland, with his recent performances, could take on a much bigger role, and that could be exactly what Chicago needs to add some explosiveness to their offense. Plus, it's worth mentioning that Kmet's trade value might be at a peak right now. If the Bears wait too long, especially if his performance doesn't improve, his value could decline. So Ryan Poles and his team are now in a tricky spot. Do they hold on to Kmet and see if he can turn things around, or do they trade him now to maximize their options? It's a decision that could have ripple effects across the entire roster and the team's strategic direction moving forward. Now, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture. The Bears are in a fascinating position this season. They've shown flashes of brilliance at times, but consistency has been elusive. Justin Fields has had his ups and downs, but he's still young and learning how to lead this offense. The defense, led by players like TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon, has been solid at times, but has also had its moments of vulnerability. The tight end position is just one piece of a larger puzzle, but it's a key piece because it impacts the passing game and the overall offensive rhythm. If the team manages to shake things up at tight end, whether by promoting Loveland or trading Kmet, it could open new avenues for their offensive scheme. And let's not forget the importance of the upcoming schedule. Chicago doesn't play again until Week 6, giving them plenty of time to evaluate their personnel and make strategic decisions. This bye week, in particular, is a golden opportunity for the coaching staff to analyze game tape, assess player performance, and decide whether they want to continue with the current tight end setup or shake things up. It's a critical moment because the NFL trade deadline is looming, and every move can have a significant impact on the team's playoff aspirations and long-term rebuild. In terms of statistical context, Kmet's season so far has been underwhelming compared to expectations. Despite being a veteran with experience, he struggled to find consistency and hasn't been able to capitalize on his targets. Meanwhile, Loveland, still a rookie, has shown enough promise to suggest he could be the future at tight end for the Bears. His 31-yard reception in Week 3 was a highlight, but it's his potential and the fact that he's already involved in practices and possibly game plans that make him a player to watch in the coming weeks. This whole tight end saga is also intertwined with the larger narrative of Chicago's rebuilding process. The front office, led by Ryan Poles, has been keen on developing young talent and making strategic moves to position the team for sustained success. Moving on from Kmet could be a calculated step in that direction, especially if it means giving more opportunities to Loveland and other young players. The trade deadline will be the ultimate testing ground for these decisions, and fans should keep a close eye on any rumors or official transactions in the weeks ahead. As we look forward, it's clear that the Bears are in a period of transition. They're trying to find the right mix of veterans and rookies, of experience and youth, to build a team that can contend in the NFC North and beyond. The tight end position is just one piece of that puzzle, but it's a very important one. Whether Kmet stays in Chicago or moves elsewhere, the story of his season, and the team's approach, will be a key storyline to follow as the NFL season unfolds and the trade deadline approaches. In conclusion, the situation with Kmet and Loveland encapsulates the ongoing strategic evolution of the Bears. The team has an exciting core of young talent, and how they handle the tight end position could influence their trajectory for years to come. Whether Kmet remains a Bear or becomes a trade chip, one thing is for sure: Chicago is making bold moves, and the future looks intriguing. Fans should be prepared for more developments, more surprises, and a lot of action in the coming weeks. The Bears are not just trying to compete this season, they're laying the groundwork for a potential championship run, and every decision, big or small, counts. So stay tuned, stay engaged, and let's see what the next chapter holds for the Chicago Bears. This team is always full of surprises, and I promise it's going to be an exciting ride ahead. And now, Chicago Bears fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Chicago Bears. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Chicago Bears news.